Hello, I'm DJ Oliver and this is Detroit Performs. Now Detroit has iconic art in many places throughout the city, and I'll be taking you to different pieces around Hart Plaza during today's show. Right now, for instance, I'm in front of the Labor Legacy Mark, Transcending, created by sculptors David Barr and Sergio De Giusti. The stainless steel arc rises 63 feet and is broken off at the top to symbolize the unfinished task of organized labor. It is the only such monument in the United States. And every spring, thousands of people with neon hair and glow sticks in hand walk past this monument during the Movement Electronic Music Festival.
Techno is like a way of exchanging ideas, and largely what techno is about is ideas.
It was a largely instrumental music, which was kind of unheard of at the time. Everything had lyrics in it, and everything in popular music or even underground music always had lyrics, and they just sometimes had vocals, sometimes it didn't. And as a producer, I found that so attractive because I could release the records anonymously. Like, no one knew who these artists were at such an early part of this. There was no real promotion or faces connected to it. And I could just do something on my own and really escape into it and just pour as much energy as I could, because I felt like, well, if I came up with something interesting enough, that maybe this would lead to something.
When I heard it, it sounded like the future to me, and like the lyrics would go through my head over and over again. It really just felt like it was cooler than Blade Runner. It like described like the future, like this gritty future to me, you know, and this search to find a new place to go with your mind now that you're kind of like experiencing the apocalypse. You know, it's like, you know, I feel like in a lot of ways, you know, Detroit is like like the city of the future.
I started this sound. I kind of coined the term techno music, and it started way back in the early '80s. And I think that Detroit's claim to fame is that this music Detroit is the birthplace of what we call techno music, and I think Detroit is famous worldwide.
The edge that the city of Detroit has adds a grit to the tone. So whether it's house music or techno or even hip hop that comes from Detroit, it still has like this edge. It's more intangible, but it's like this rawness that is like, you can just feel that it's real.
It has this ongoing reputation as being a place where new ideas are tried in this music. It's consistently pushing forward and looking and being progressive. We're kind of living in a time where like a lot of ideas are recycled. So I think something new, or even something just trying to be new or different, really resonates with people.
Detroit's place within it is, it was actually one of the first places to think of specific new ideas, to make like these specific innovations and this particular sound palettes, particular ways of using drum machines.
The dynamic of Detroit has a subliminal or subconscious effect over everybody that's here, but I think it does create a edge to the music that doesn't exist in any other city. It creates a toughness and a hardness that, you know, that is beautiful in its own way. Before the festival started, you know, I used to always say, I traveled a lot to Europe, and they would do these type of festivals started in Europe like years before we started doing it here.
For years, we didn't have anything here that really was the focus of the party aspect of it. You know, there's plenty of labels and producers based here, but there was no event that people felt like engaged enough to come to until the Movement Festival.
I was under the belief that I used to say, this could never happen in the USA. And then it happened. And I was very amazed and surprised. And it's definitely a good achievement and a good feeling to see that, you know, that this festival is going on like the 11th or 12th year now.
It's a chance for us to finally celebrate what we created here and what has made such a global impact. I mean, they're still excited to bring new Detroit techno artists to Croatia or Japan, you know, or Berlin, you know, etc., like all over the world. But when do they get to be celebrated at home? And when does the music get recognized here? Because it doesn't fit into, you know, a rock and roll format or selling something by a face or an image. You know, it's almost anti-image. It's a chance to actually celebrate what's been created here, have 100,000 people or however many it is that come down to Hart Plaza, and actually the community is not just known on the internet, which, you know, doesn't really have, like, you get excitement, but you don't have this biofeedback. You get this huge biofeedback of being in these crowds, feeling this emotion. It's like the myth of techno becomes reality for a marathon weekend of the festival and these after-hour events, and it gives people internationally a place to come to. It's like the Hajj. It's their pilgrimage to the source of this music, you know, and the respect and the dreams that go into that are like palpable, like in that weekend.
Great opportunity for local labels and DJs and artists to kind of showcase what they do. So it's made a big difference, I would say.